from Safeguard Europe, and we're going to talk about the high-line plaster that has been used in the kitchen. Now, your company has very kindly donated the plaster to us, and obviously for the purposes of the viewers who are looking to make their homes flood resilient, can you tell me a bit about the plaster and why it's good for this kind of work?
Sure thing. So we specially designed this plaster so that it's resistant to damp and salts, which means that when a property is flooded, it will retain its strength and dimensions. And once the water has gone, the plaster can just be wiped down, cleaned, and left in place. So that's the main kind of benefit of this plaster. It's like, unlike sort of gypsum type plasters where you'd have to take out the plaster and replace, it's going to take a long time. This can just be hosed down and just left there.
So can you sanitise it? Can you use some sanitizer?
Yes, just like normal sanitizer, whatever you'd use to wash down any kind of surface after a flood. You can just spray it, hose it down and leave it to dry. And you don't have to sort of take off the plaster. It's also designed to be very highly breathable, which is necessary when you've been flooded and you need to let your walls dry out as quickly as possible.
So you put a dehumidifier and fan in the room as you would normally?
Yes, as normal.
But the plaster will just dry out?
Yeah, the plaster can stay on the wall and just dry out, and that will maintain its properties throughout multiple floods.
So that's a huge benefit of it, because most flood victims have told me, and of course I've been flooded, so I know that the worst part of being flooded is the recovery.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've got to move out while all the plaster's knocked off and the place is dried. With this, when the flood's gone away, we can just literally sanitise it, get some dehumidifiers in there and carry on.
Yeah, you won't even need to redecorate really. You can sort of leave it as a bare surface. We have a specially designed white skin plaster based on lime. So it just gives a nice white finish. So if that's the colour you want, you won't even need to repaint.
So it's quite a rustic finish,
yes,
isn't it? So that's one sort of bit of advice to perhaps somebody that's plastering it.
Yes.
I heard you talking to the plasterers just now. What kind of advice can you give to somebody that's perhaps thinking of using this?
So I'd recommend to leave a nice open pored finish. That's the way you get the high breathability. So don't try and get that mirror smooth finish that you would with normal skin plasters.
What about if somebody wants to paint over it? What kind of paint can you use? Obviously you can't use a sort of a silk.
No, you'd want to use some sort of matte emulsion paint, something very highly breathable that's going to let water vapour pass through.
And it's easy to paint on top of?
Yes, yeah, it's very easy. It's white, so it's a good base to paint onto.
Is there anything else about the Safeguard Europe materials that people could think of using for making their properties resilient to flooding? Other materials?
Yes, so we have a masonry protection cream which can be applied externally to the building, which resists water. So you can apply that to the outside of your building and it will just help stop as much water from getting into your brickwork, and then will aid drying out afterwards. So you actually get faster drying out periods.
So you would advise people to do some mortar maintenance before you apply that?
Absolutely, yes. You want to repoint as much as possible, fix any cracks or gaps that you have in your brickwork or masonry and pointing. And we have a specially designed repointing additive specifically for flood-prone properties.
And that's another safeguard?
Yes, yeah.
So just for purposes of the camera, can you sort of slowly name the product?
Sure thing.
So people, because I know what I do on YouTube is I'm frantically writing things down and have to replay. So if you could just do a bit of product placement for me, for people that are wanting to do this.
Internally, we would recommend our damp resistant plaster. It's dry zone damp resistant plaster. As a skim finish, we've got the dry zone highline finishing plaster, which is the white finish. Externally, we have Storm Dry Masonry Protection Cream and Storm Dry Repointing Additive. Those are sort of the main products to recommend here.
And where can people buy them?
They can buy them directly from us. We have a website. You can buy products on Amazon as well, and Wick stores, various places.
And your website address?
It's safeguardeurope.com.
That's wonderful. Anything else you want to tell me about it?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure people watching will find that very helpful.
Sure thing.
Thanks very much. Clementine and Andrew, we're here, and this is the rustic finish that you were talking about just now when I talked to you. And can you explain a bit again as to why it's
we want to leave the finish as sort of open forward as possible to allow as much water vapour to pass through as possible, so you can let your wool dry down quickly after a flood. So you don't want to get a sort of mirror smooth shiny finish, you want to leave it quite rough.
And what advice would you give to the homeowner then when they're thinking of perhaps decorating over the top of this?
Well, I mean, obviously, the one of the advantages with this finish is it could actually be left as it is if they wanted to do that. But obviously, you know, applying a water-based emulsion is really straightforward. Apply it over the top. Again, using a water-based emulsion, it's breathable. It allows the water to breathe as well. So obviously, in the effect of a flood, it does help it also dry down, rather than using a vinyl or a silk sort of finish paint.
So in this kitchen, we've used two different interventions. We've used the flood repairable here and the flood resilient here. Can you both tell me a bit about the ethos behind flood repairable? Because some people might not want to do flood resilient, but flood repairable can be quite useful, can't it?
Yes. So here we have a plasterboard system. So essentially, this is just attached to the wall with damp and salt resistant adhesive. And once the flood has happened, you can literally just rip out this plasterboard and replace it, which is why the plasterboard is placed horizontally instead of vertically on the wall. So you're just placing it up to that flood height, so it's very easy to rip out and replace.
And so what kind of plaster will you put over that?
On this wall, we're going to use a normal gypsum plaster finish. Because obviously it's a repairable wall rather than necessarily using the highline finish which will dry down breathable. It's just another alternative system, and the objective is to basically, once it's flooded, it's easily repairable. We can get in, replace it really quickly, and hopefully get the occupants back up and running as soon as possible.
And that's something the surveyor suggested, isn't it? That we use different kinds of interventions. So we've got the flood resilient one side, and this one, literally, the whole thing can just be ripped off. It's what we call a sacrificial method, literally sacrificial plasterboard, rip it off, put another one back on, plaster, and get on. And it's a day's job, isn't it? Or less of a day's job, really. Yes, well, that's great. Thank you both very much.
Pleasure.